said, dance, magic dance, dance, magic dance. Jump, magic jump, jump, magic jump. Dance, magic dance.
Cracer, and welcome to Tales of Wales, the pod that never fails to educate, entertain, enthrall,
enlarge penises,
enlarge penises, evaluate your decisions on podcast choice,
infatuate you with history,
elongate your mental capacity for nonsense. So that was awful. That was really bad.
emancipate you from the boredom of life.
Okay. We let me just get the old Britain on Trent courage. Let's Carl into you and I. I think one day I have to go to Burton on Trent to go see where they make this fucking delicious.
I bet you'll hate
nectar.
it. I bet you'll you'll sleep behind the. It'll be Wizard of Oz. We see the wizard behind the curtain. You'll just be so disappointed.
Let me just put that's the worst pouring of the pint ever. Jesus wept.
Do you want to float with that, mate?
Oh, exactly. Yeah, fuck off, everyone. I just hate people. I just hate when like this. I don't like small talk. And I hate shit things you say all the time. Like when it's fucking. Sometimes you catch yourself doing it. Like what are they like stock phrases?
It's almost bred into you, though, isn't it? Like sometimes you do it as like almost like a defense mechanism to avoid like
anything
I
real.
don't know, awkwardness or something.
Yeah.
Like I remember in work sometime I was privy to one and I hated every minute of it. I wasn't even involved in this. I just heard it and it was like someone went like, they were going to the to the fucking. This was back before COVID, so we were all in the office, and it was like she was going to the sink for some tea. And I went, "Oh, do you want to drink some?" And she went, "Oh, how about a wine?" And then went, "Haha, well it's 6 o'clock somewhere, isn't it?" And I was like, "That joke is 5 o'clock, you fucking dunce."
I was just about to shout at you and say it's 5 o'clock.
Yeah, it doesn't even make sense in a stupid like. And I was fuming. I was just fucking hitting my keyboard harder than ever because I was just like, I hate being here. I hope there's a pandemic that'll just fucking force me to work from home.
It's like when cunts go, well, it's like it's raining and then it was sunny. It goes, so they ask you what weather's like in Britain and you say, give me 15 minutes, I'll give you another answer. It rained, it snowed, it was sleet, it was sunny, just another day in Britain.
Just doesn't know what it's doing today, does it? Oh god!
It just so fucking tedious, and I do worry that you just fall into it. It's like like with the postman thing. You know when they're like the
neighbours and stuff like that. And that thing you sent earlier with the postman, yeah.
When the postman comes and goes, "Oh, I hope they aren't bills." He went, "No, they aren't bills. They're yours." Oh, fuck off.
If they're bills, you can keep them.
Anyway. This is going to be a very short intro because you can tell we had nothing to go on there. But
this is a doubler. Listeners to the last episode will have heard at the end that we're doing a doubler tonight. So yeah, we thought A, we're getting a bit pissed, and two, A and B.
And third dot.
Yeah, A and B, and B. This is quite a longy, so we're gonna bypass a lot of the intro bants and shenanigans.
Yeah, I get fucking stuck into it. This is Welsh mythology, Bart Dos, Rhif Dau, the second, the difficult second album. But we had like lots of people enjoyed the Welsh mythology one quite a lot. So we thought we'd tap back into that.
Mate. Shot up the download rankings.
Yeah.
So we thought let's shamelessly do another one in the hope that it had the same effect, as if doing something exactly the same again.
Well, I
means doing the same again.
I like that. So in this time again, we found 3 separate stories each to talk about. I love mine. I think mine. I'm sure you like yours as well. And I hadn't heard of any of mine.
I realised, after you sent me yours, and I said, I won't look into them because I don't want to spoil them.
Yeah.
I'd obviously heard of one of them before, but I think I won't spoil anything, but I think your second one, I did know what that one was, I just didn't realise it was called that.
Oh, you're
But I'm still excited because I want to hear your rendition, your telling of them.
Do you want to start? You got a longie to start, or do you want to start? How do you want to start with this?
I tell you what, I was going to do my semi-longy first.
Okay.
Get
your semi out then, mate.
Get my semi out first. No one's ready for the full fucking whack.
For the full hog.
So, and this one's a bit of a it's got like a base of comedy in it. So it's fine. Just by its title, you'll see what I mean. So my first story is the tale of Rita Gawr and the shaving of the royal whiskers.
Ooh, my whiskers just quivered at the way you said that.
Yeah, exactly. So like you said, you're already in, you're tantalised, you're in there. So
first you had my attention, now you've got my curiosity. Is that what it is? I never get it right.
I think it's I think you got it right, just the wrong way round. So not right. You have my curiosity, now you have my attention.
Yeah, that. So do that again. No, I'm joking.
No, keep it as it is. I think it's good though. You know, it's real. It's real like that. Okay, so the tale of Rita Gawr and the shaving of the royal whiskers. So a long time ago, when the land was still brimming with old Celtic magic, there was a giant that went by the name of Rita
when
Gawr.
Britain knew what it was.
When Britain knew what it was, before the bloody men came in, it was just giants being giants, working giant jobs, yeah?
But when Britain had a bit of self-respect and didn't mind what it was about, it didn't say what it was like.
Make Britain magical again. That's what I'm saying.
Bloody Margaret Thatcher.
So back in the good old days, right?
Yeah.
Rita Gawr, despite what we just went through the riff then, he was not a Nigel Farage type. He was just a fucking giant called Rita Gawr.
Like Rita Gawr. Coward is Welsh.
It was Rita, you gotta roll that fucking R, mate.
I can't.
Rita Gawr.
Yeah.
I don't know what Rita is in Old Welsh, but Gawr is just the what's Traegler in English mutation of Cawr, which just means giant.
So is Rita any relation to that German thing that taught us Welsh at school called Ich bin Rita, ich bin Rolli? Ich bin Rita, ich bin Rolli.
I can only assume it's exactly
Ich bin Rita, ich bin Rolli.
Ich bin Rolli. Beine hast du, whatever the fuck that was.
Das ist dein Telefonnummer.
I remember that one, yeah.
We're putting this in right now. Hallo aus Berlin, wie geht's?
Wie heißt du?
Ich bin
Hallo aus Berlin, wie heißen Sie? I think that's right, is it?
Hallo aus Berlin, wie heißt du? Guten Tag Berlin, wie heißen Sie? Wie heißt du? Wie heißen Sie? Wie alt bist du? Und wie alt sind Sie? Hallo, ich bin Rolli.
Wie alt bist du? Hallo aus Berlin, wie heißt bist du? Guten Tag,
yeah, I was never good at German, so yeah, we'll insert that though, just so everyone can have a little bit of nostalgia.
Yeah.
I can imagine us being the only school that ever fucking listens to that shit. It was like a fever dream. Mad. Anyway, sorry. So back in the day, there was a giant that went by the name of Rita Gawr. Many of the giants of the time lived in mountain caves across the island of Britain, and Rita was no different. Giants would often be a pain in the arse to many kings of the land because they'd steal and eat livestock from nearby farms, and occasionally even eat men and women who strayed too far from their towns and villages. Rita had had enough of living off stolen cows and sheep, and resented the many kings of the land. He was stronger, braver, and certainly bigger than these tiny human rulers. Why shouldn't he be the one in charge? He decided he would defeat these kings and prove himself their superior, starting with two neighbouring monarchs named Ninio and Pabio. These two kings were ruling over not bad actually, very Welshy.
Yeah.
Well, of course. These two kings were...
But Wales
funny
Wales.
that from... Yeah, the best thing about Wales is Welsh, right?
What's the thing about Wales? So I'll stop that. It only really works when you pretend to do it as an English person. It doesn't quite work. You
can't really do it as a Welsh accent.
Wales, bloody Wales. All their signs are backwards. How do they cope? I don't know how they do it. How do you understand
how
what
much
you're
money's
saying?
going into them signs then? Like, how much money you got to print those signs in two
fucking
languages?
dangerous they are. Fuck off.
Oh, right, where was I? Sorry,
sorry.
yeah. But what's his name? Ritter decided he'd conquer all the kings of Britain. This is Britain now, not Britain.
Yes.
So, full of Celts at this point. So we start with the two neighbouring monarchs named Ninio and Pabio. These two kings were ruling over weakened kingdoms after years of war with each other. So, easy win for our big boy Ritter. Ritter gathered like-minded giants, hired bandits, and made deals with other creatures and beasts of the mountains to fill the ranks of his army, and then proceeded to slaughter Ninio and Pabio's armies with ease. Ritter shaved the beards from his beaten enemies, a symbol of their strength and manliness, and wove them into his cloak to mark his victory.
It's pretty cool.
And it's pretty badass, that. The news of Ritter Gowr's attack spread all over Britain, and the other kings of the land decided to pause any hostilities between themselves and unite against Ritter's army. 28 kings, leading 28 armies, marched against the giant, and after a long and bloody struggle, Ritter emerged victorious with 28 new beards woven into his cloak, declaring himself king of all Prydain, Britain in Welsh.
Back when Prydain was all about Britain.
Oh, give us our beard backs, my lord, please. Please, I'll be a good boy.
that's a good. I like that so far. Carry on.
Looks good, isn't it? Yeah. So some foreign kings would see this as an opportunity to carve out a peace. Foreign bloody kings coming over here to Britain.
Foreign bastard coming over here, not taking my beard off. At least the king know where he stood with him.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I was no fan of Ritter Gow, right? But you knew where you stood with him.
When these foreign kings come out, they'll probably have ghoulies and rice for breakfast. Something horrible like that. Goat's milk.
They don't even speak fucking Welsh. Anyway, sorry. We love this is a theme that's going to continue, I think. Well, I'm a gob of rum there. Sorry. So, some foreign bloody kings would see this as an opportunity to carve out a little piece of Britain for themselves, thinking that the land was weakened. But were all killed or beaten back across the sea, each one adding another beard to Ritter's cloak. Before long, the giant's cloak was thick and heavy with beards of fallen kings, stained red with the blood of his enemies. Also, how minging would that be? I bet that fucking stank. Walking around fucking stinky bloody beard cloak. It'd be so wiry as well. I bet that'd itch like fuck. Anyway, maybe sort of being a bit too, being a bit too realistic.
And also, I can smell the clottedness of it all. It's a very visceral
blood
image.
on it, and you'd have fucking flies buzzing around you. It'd be grim. Anyway, so back to the story. So Ritter, he was content with his victory until news of a forgotten king in Britain reached his ears. This king went by several names: the Saxon Slayer, the Warrior King, the Holder of Caledvolch. It was King Arthur himself.
Oh.
Just by the way, Caledvolch is just what Excalibur is called in Welsh, by the way. Apparently a combination of the Welsh words for hard and cleft.
We should do a
hard
King Arthur
cleft
episode, shouldn't we?
Oh yeah, this is. I only do this one because it's got a little bit of King Arthur in it. I know we're going to do one on King Arthur's got so much shit to do.
The Saxon Slayer, he was fighting the Romans. Maybe Saxons in before the Anglo-Saxons in Germany or something.
Honestly, Arthur is like one of those ones he is mentioned way early in like Celtic stuff, which would be Arthur, not Arthur. But he transcends like fucking. He couldn't possibly be alive for the amounts of times that like he's mentioned, sort of thing. He's just kind of like this.
I know the sort.
Oh, he's fucking bollocks, mate. He went around fighting.
He could have played for Chelsea, but he had a knee injury. He's that kind of cunt.
Exactly.
Did his Achilles when he was younger. Yeah.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying. So yeah, he's just Caledvolch, just FYI, is just Excalibur in Welsh. A little tidbit of trivia for you there. So Ritter was pretty pissed that he was not truly the king of Britain, because there was this one king left, King Arthur. So he sent a letter to King Arthur demanding he shave his royal whiskers and deliver them to him to complete his cloak. A refusal would mean that Ritter would march his army to Arthur's gate and take his beard by force. Arthur was no puss, so he set out with his men to Ritter's fortress in the mountains of Gwynedd to confront him head on. They both met at the highest peak of the mountain range and fought a bloody battle in front of their respective armies. Both fighters were bloodied and injured, but eventually Arthur claimed victory over Ritter, slicing Caledvolch through the giant's helmet, splitting his forehead. He confirmed the kill with a stab to Rita's heart, and the beard-cloaked giant was defeated. Arthur took the giant's cloak of beards, as well as Rita's own royal whiskers, before ordering each soldier present at the battle to place a stone upon the fallen king's body. Every man, giant or beast that had marched to the mountaintop stacked a stone on Rita's Gaur's body, creating a cairn over him. I didn't know what cairn was before this. It was basically a mound of stones that they used to bury people in. That's it, yeah. Exactly. So, because of this, the mountain grew even taller, thanks to this giant cairn, and was known as Gwyddfa Rita, which in English means Rita's mausoleum or Rita's barrow. This mountain today is known as Mount Snowdon, or as it's known in Welsh, Yr Wyddfa. So that's where it got its name from, the old school myth. Yeah, so because the guy was such a big boy, they piled these stones over him, and it became the tallest mountain in Gwynedd.
I have heard this now you say that, because they want to change. They want the area to be called Eryri. I'm not very good at saying the name. Eryri. So Snowdonia, or the national park, is now only known as Eryri, and there's like a really famous Welsh person on Twitter who constantly says the importance of names, and like he describes why Yr Wyddfa is so important to be called Yr Wyddfa, because
I think you sent me the video of it. Yeah, and he literally says that it should be called Yr Wyddfa because Snowdon is such an anglicised.
It's named after someone called
English version of it.
It's named after a hiker, I think, Snowdon, or there's a person in England called Snowdon, and I think that's who it's named after. Whereas, like you said, Yr Wyddfa comes from this mythology and a story behind it.
Yeah, well, this is like a story from 11th century or something like that. So it's like really old school, and there's so much history in that name, and I quite agree it should be called something that's tied to the land, So that's the story of how they got its name.
I massively believe that it's important. History is kept in your language and your place names. And I got friends who are, I got a friend who's Aboriginal, and he's really, really, really into preserving the Aboriginal names of his places in Australia. And I talked to him quite a bit about how it's really important in Wales. They'll have these cottages and names, like places that have been around in Wales for centuries, and now someone will buy a cottage and call it Rose Cottage, and it's like you're erasing about history. These things are important.
It's such a slap in the face, isn't it? Of it could have been there, like you said, for fucking centuries.
Well, that's a good one. I really like that. I thought you told it really well as well, mate. I really like that story.
Oh, thank you very well, mate. Thank you very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very well. I'll go for my next one, which is probably the most common. I'm going to go with Blodeuwedd. So this is the most common at my three.
Settle in, folks.
Yeah. So now this is your classic woman made of flowers story. And I bet you're thinking, oh, not this again. Can we just move away from the overused woman made of flowers narrative? But we're not. We're going to stick to this for a second. Now this woman, Blodeuwedd, and just for reference, Blodau is the Welsh word for flowers. So Blodeuwedd makes sense that she's
the etymology's there, isn't it? Yeah.
The etymology's there that she's made of, so Blodeuwedd. She's a character from the stories of the Mabinogion, and if you'd listened to Welsh Mythology Part 1, you've heard about the Mabinogion there. But just to catch you back up, the Mabinogion is a collection of mythical Welsh tales divided into 4 parts or branches. Now, Blodeuwedd's story is told on the 4th branch of the Mabinogion. It's on the branch which is called Math Fab Mathanwy. So that means Math, son of Mathanwy.
Math as well, just a little tidbit for my mythology nerds out there. He was the god of magic in Celtic mythology. Well, he was indeed.
A woman named Arianrhod, placed a tynged, which is a Welsh word for fate, on her son, Lle Llaw Gyfes. And so this is the story now, so I'll just recap quickly. So, Blodeuwedd, this is a story from the 4th branch of the Mabinogion, and that 4th branch is called Math Fab Mathanwy. And we start with a woman named Arianrhod, who places a tynged, which is fate, on her son, Lle Llaw Gyfes. And this tynged meant that poor Lle could never marry a human woman. And I like that the story says human woman, because that feels heavily setting up a pretense for what's to come.
Lle Llaw Gyfes is one of my faves as well. He's he's not Thor of Celtic mythology, but he's like one of the big warriors. He's very he's cool. He's a cool character. I like him anyway.
And I would say on the two of us, I get into politics a lot, and you love So when we do like the political stuff in Wales, I think that's more my kind of forte. You know all this shit, don't you? Like, I'm learning this for the first time, but you are big into mythology,
mate, yeah,
across the spectrum, across.
I went and my fiance took me to Greece for my 30th. Delayed because of COVID, but I went there for my 30th because she knows how much I bum mythology so much that I went around all like the fucking Greek mythological sites and stuff. She must have just been so bored to tears hearing me go, and this is where Minos kept the Minotaur, actually, supposedly by legend. And, and she was like, yeah. Did she? Did he? Love,
when you're in the plane,
yeah.
you're like, oh, I feel like Icarus. I'm going after the sun.
Awfully close to the sun, aren't we? I hope my wings don't burn. And she's just like, what are you on about?
Oh, take back the wedding. It's all over.
It was just fucking necking Guino after Guino. Just fucking...
El vino did flow. So, as we go back to this, so Llay, he had an uncle named Gwydion, who was a legendary wizard. And upon hearing of Llay's fate, Gwydion created a wife for him made out of flowers and named her Blodeuwedd. So she was created of flowers from oak, for the flowers of the broom and the flowers of the meadowsweet. And Blodeuwedd and Llay got married, but trouble was soon on the horizon. Blodeuwedd had fallen in love with Gronw Pebr, a warrior and hunter from Penllyn. I mean, who hasn't fallen for a warrior and hunter from Penllyn?
I know. With a name like that, a strong Welsh name like Gronw.
Yeah. So to solve this dilemma, Blod and Gronw decided to murder Llay so they could live happily ever after. Which it makes them sound like they're the romantic ones, but they're going to kill this bloke for just because they wanted to have it off.
Bear in mind that back in this days, like these are gods. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're going, we'll just fucking murk him, shall we? Yeah, I'm a godly man.
Well, you say, shall we just murk him? But the way they have to kill him is fucking mental. So killing Llay was
I know, mate. I know.
So yeah, you've set this up for an alley-oop now. So Llay could only be, because he was a god, he could only be killed in certain circumstances. He had to have 1 foot on a bath and 1 on a goat. And he would have to be stabbed with a spear, but not just any fucking spear. It had to be a spear that's created on the year during Mass. So... I get if you're...
Didn't have to be at like night time as well, or between night and day or something like that, wouldn't it? Full moon, that's it, yeah.
But I think, like, so when you're coming up with this mythology, you're thinking of how to make it sound cool. So I get it that you can only kill a god in a certain way, but having a foot on a bath and a goat just makes it so stupid.
Oh, mate. You know that was... You know, like when me and you have like 4 a.m. ideas? Like, you know, just whoever's writing this shit had like been on a few, not rum, but whatever they were drinking back then. And went,
Me.
Oh, no, foot on a bath and a goat or something. Like, yeah, you know, put that
Clearly
in and we'll edit it later.
And a goat. Just looked around the room and so you could see.
Yeah, say what you see.
So,
basically.
Faced with these conditions, Blod and Gronw were feeling like they could do fuck all, until Blod was like, hang on, I've got a cracking idea. She asked Llay to show her exactly how he would stand in order to be killed, which to me is naive. To be like, so show me exactly what needs to happen. So Llay obliged, because he's a nice bloke. He had no suspicions that Blodeuwedd's plan was going to be to kill him. You know, he thought they were happily married and in love. So he stepped in, put 1 foot in the bath and placed another on a goat.
Get the bath, get the goat.
And then out popped Gronw and stabbed him. And then suddenly, so you think, yeah, we've done it, Llay transformed into an eagle and flew off into the night. So they were like, oh, nice, okay, well,
see you later, baby.
Not quite what I thought was going to happen, but yeah, he's gone. So now we move on to the next part of the plot. Blodeuwedd and Gronw, they lived happily for a while and thought this is the life. And Gronw, 6 inches deep into a daisy, absolutely loving it. 8 inches deep. I mean 9 inches.
Rearranging her flowery guts nightly.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's getting cut. So they, like I said, they were happy as they could have been for a man on a flower bed. But their happiness was short-lived. Llay and his wizard Gwydion returned and killed Gronw Pebr. Got him right back. I missed out how he killed him, but I assume it's some godly way. But they didn't kill him.
It's I'm surprised you haven't got the end of it, mate, because that's how
Well, I haven't got to the end of it yet. If you don't yap, let me yap.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
So I don't know how Gronw died, but I got what happened to Blod. So if you know how Gronw...
go on. You carry on with your story. I'll circle back because it's interesting.
Cool. So Llay and his wizard friend, his wizard friend, so it was Llay and Gwydion. They returned and they killed Gronw, but Blod was spared death. Instead, she was turned into an owl, which in Welsh is called a goody-hoo, thus never being able to show her face in the light of day ever again, and she was banished to the night. So now tell me how Gronw Pepper faced his end.
Basically, Llay turns up, as you said. He demands retribution for what happened. Sorry, turns up with his wizard mate, as you said. Demands retribution. Gronw decides to play on his honourable side and said, look, how about we meet, and it's like two sides of a valley with a stream running through it. And he says, you can pick whatever you like as either a weapon or defence. Llay picks a spear, and Gronw says, well, I pick a slab of stone to be in front of me to defend myself, and you get one shot. But because Llay is a god, he hurls the spear so hard it goes through the stone, pierces Gronw and kills him. Now that there's a monument erected about that. Some say it was the stone that he pierced, called Llech Ronw.
Llech is
and it's it's in Blaen y Ffestiniog. Somewhere, and basically it's a like stone slab. It's got a very like obviously clearly cut with a machine hole in front of it through it.
The magic.
But I know, don't really magic. But supposedly that's where Llay launched the spear straight through the slate and into Gronw to kill him.
Oh, well, I'm glad you added that. So yeah, you know all this shenanigans on top. I
was going to say, you know when because she turns into a Tyllian, didn't she? What's that fucking owl you said? Tyllian Wen. There's a film about that, and it is quite shit.
Oh, is that what it's
if
based
you want to
on?
go watch that in Welsh.
Modern telling of
it's like a sort of a modern telling of that. Yeah, it's really bad, and you'd be forgiven for not realising it was a modern retelling of it because this was so loose.
It's John Ogwen.
But it does have. It's John Ogwen. John Ogwen gets a fucking harp thrown at him at one point, and then
we'll put
the
that
woman.
In. People have to watch that clip. It's so funny.
Oh yeah, you got to watch. It's hilarious. But at the end, the woman gets killed. Sorry, spoilers. And then you see cut to a white owl, and it's meant to be like, oh right, Tyllian Wen. I guess she was Blodeuwedd, and it's like, was she though? Because none of the other story beats kind of link up with it.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you knew more about Blodeuwedd than I did, because then you could tell the proper story for it. Do you want to go to your next one?
I like that you focused on Blodeuwedd because I was thinking I'd do one of my stories on Llay Llawgyffes, like his birth and everything, and his birth, life and death. But I realised as I was reading through, I went, oh shit, yeah, Blodeuwedd is actually a big part of like his death. Well,
maybe you can do that for another episode.
He's one of my faves. He's a good at him. What I'm gonna do, I'll do my little shitty little one here now. I've got it's just a little folk creature. I'll let you do another one, and then I'll do my longy then.
Okay, mate.
But so I'm gonna describe I don't know if anyone who's listened to Mythology Part 1, Frank's described a very funny little creature in Welsh folklore called the Bwbach, who basically hounds people who don't drink, which was, a kindred spirit of ours in many respects. But this time around, I found this one, although he's not as good as a Bwbach. He's called a Llamhiganadŵr, or in English, the water leaper. So this is described as a frog-like creature with the wings of a bat.
What's the name again?
Llamhiganadŵr.
In English, water leaper, cousin of Dua Lipa. Sorry.
Very good. Yeah. Much less talented. Hasn't had a hit yet. Hoping this Christmas. We don't know. Very good. Did that just come to you? That's incredible. You haven't had enough to drink. You haven't. Jesus.
No, I can still bring out classics like Water Leaper, Dua Lipa.
Also, great modern pop reference. I don't know if I could have got that.
I couldn't tell you a single thing she's done. Or what. I know she's a singer.
I was going to say, name a song. Name a song.
Die Leper.
Yeah, that was a good one. Llamhiganadŵr. Yeah. So this was described, as a frog-like creature with wings of a bat, no back legs, and instead a tail with a stinger at the end. So picture that in your mind's eye, if you will. So this creature would chill in lakes all over Wales, and although would sometimes attack and kill fishermen, this is like, why they were considered a danger. They'd either attack from the water or they could attack from above if they were circling in flight. But they said, this thing I was reading about, it said it was primarily a mischievous creature that would simply cut fishing lines of fishermen so they get frustrated and they wouldn't catch anything. Like, I just thought, what a dick move. Like, it's like, I have the ability to kill and eat this thing, but just to nip its little a fisherman's line. So the fisherman goes, oh, what? Oh, I'll have to try again. And just going, nip again. I just thought, I don't know, not quite as good as the Boobach, but just such a fucking petty little prank to play.
Yeah. A giant frog with no legs. Ooh, it's so scary.
Giant frog with no back legs,
and
stinging like a scorpion's tail, and bat wings. It does sound a bit mad.
I like how these things were just like, they were around in the consciousness for a while, and then they just died out. And yeah, actually, that's not very scary.
Yeah, people just went, that's actually a bit fucking stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. All right, so I'll do a cool...
Sorry, that was just my little one then, because my next one's going to be a longie, so I thought I'd break it.
Right,
up
well,
first.
I'll do my longest one and then finish on a shorter one.
Yeah.
This is like my most storied one, which you might know. People might know it. So yeah, this is about a story about King March ap Merchion, who was a king from to olden days, and he had a rich palace and called Castell March, so a castle named after him in a place called Llain. He was one of the great sea traders of Britain, and his maritime trade business was going swell. Swell, do you get it? Swell. Like the ocean. Yeah. I mean, come
back
on.
When Britain were fucking good.
Back when Britain meant something. Right. Back when Rule Britannia ruled the seas, you know what I mean?
Bring back our sovereignty, yeah, fucking... It was swell. It was swell back then.
It was swell. It was good jokes. He says what you think. So old March was a ruler over the rich and prosperous land where the fields were well tilled, and they produced ample crops for his people. His subjects were really happy, and they worked hard upon the land, but were generally content with their lot. They loved their king for his kindness, his generous spirit, and his justice rule.
Sounds like a lovely guy.
Yeah, in his palace he had a giant vault where he kept his bucks. He had loads of pearls, jewels, and gold and silver. He had all the wealth and possessions he could possibly need, and he'd expect him to be one very happy chappie. But alas, that was not the case. The king, whose name meant stallion, son of stallions, so March ap Merchion.
That's badass.
It's good, isn't it? Stallion, son of stallions.
Call me Stallion. Who's your dad? Another stallion, yeah?
We come from a long line of stallions.
Goddamn stallions.
But our little stallion, son of stallion, had a great big dirty old secret. He had this is ironic, or if it's not ironic, we haven't quite understood what irony is, me and you, I don't think. But he has the ears of a bloody old horse. I mean, talk about embarrassing.
Oh, the irony, man. the bleating irony.
Is it ironic if you're called stallion to the stallion, and have ears of a horse?
No, I think it's like what you said. It's fitting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's rather
irony would be like, I hate horses, and then you got ears of a horse or something.
Yeah. But no one in the kingdom knew about his horsey ears. Do you know this story, by the way?
No, I don't. This is news. Remember, I'm listening with my horse ears, mate. I'll be listening.
Your ears are picked up like a horse. So no one in the kingdom knew about this except for his parents and one other person. That's right, you guessed it, his barber. Who else are you going to tell me?
Can you take your beanie off so I can do your ear, mate? No.
Well, that's why he told him. He had to tell him because otherwise he was going to be moping around like a giant mosher with his giant long locks.
Oh, no one respects a mosher as king.
No one, in all of history, there's never been a mosher king, which is a sad statement.
Yeah, tell me I'm lying.
And after a while, his parents died, so the only person left in the world who knew his secret was his barber. And although March was a kind king, he did threaten to lob off the barber's head if he ever told anyone. Also,
I love that.
The barber...
Look, no biggie, man. If you just keep it a secret, but also he'll fucking kill you if you say a word.
Also, the barber's name is Bevan. Bevan the barber, which is just a delight. Ivan Bevan.
Just a delight. That absolutely caught me off guard.
It's
What a delight you are.
It's a real delight to be
Bevan.
called, Bevan the Bad Bun.
It's a delight to have you here, Bevan. It really is. Mainly because of your name.
So, old Beef, I'm going to call him Beef from now on, but if you write it down, it spells it as Biff. So, old Biff.
Oh, Biffan.
So, old Ivan Beefan kept to his word and he didn't tell a soul. And he hid his ears by fashioning a hairdo that covered them just enough and placing a crown around them that subtly covered up and no one would suspect a thing. However, over time, our boy Beef, he hated the fact he had to hold this giant secret. He was an honest man and keeping secrets was not in his character. So he held on to it for years, but eventually this made him sick with guilt. And this was quite literal sickness with guilt. He couldn't eat, sleep, and he could barely keep water down. He was in a paradox. On one hand, he wanted to keep his oath to the king. On the other, he felt he was wrong to keep his dirty little secrets. But he ended up falling so ill, they had to go see a physician who instantly could see something was up. And after chatting about it for a bit, the doc said, right, if you're ill because of a secret you're keeping and you can't tell anyone, there's only one thing for it. Go out to the castle grounds.
This guy, fucking the biggest diagnostician in the fucking mythological age.
I think you'll feel pretty silly.
Dr. House.
You'll feel pretty silly when you hear what his explanation is, because it makes perfect sense.
Oh, okay.
Go out to the castle grounds, find yourself a lake or a pond, get amongst the reeds, bury your head in the mud, and scream into the earth. So,
okay, yeah.
He said, yeah, bury your chops in the mud and scream your secret into the earth. And then faster than you could say, this is a stupid remedy, you should have your license revoked, you utter charlatan. Beef went out, followed the doctor's orders, and felt much better. He went in there.
That's why there's tests these days. It's ridiculous.
Well, he went out he found some weeds and he found some reeds. In amongst, you can picture like a Billy Brogger, a frog sat on one of these things. Those reeds that have like a little brown end to it. He went into the mud and he screamed. He went, the bloody king's got horse's ears! And then, and he went, actually, I feel so much better. So this is a mental health analogy. Talk to your mates if you're feeling a bit low, guys. Or scream into a forest, and equally as good.
Stream into the muck.
Yeah. And then some time had passed, and our generous long-eared king decided to throw a giant party because he's just a nice guy. And he was like, hey guys, come to my great hall in Castelmarch and we're going to have a fucking knees up. And what does every good knees up need? You've guessed it, someone to play the reed pipes. And so they send a message to the... Well, you might guess where this is going. Well, you probably won't, actually. But so they send a message to the best reed pipe player in Wales. And as he's making his way to the party, he stopped by some reed-infested mud area where Beef had screamed into. And he saw some fine reeds growing nearby. So he stopped and he cut them to make a new pipe from them. And then he proceeded off to the castle to perform for the king.
Jesus, I know where this is going. This is typical. Go on, you carry on.
So now the party's in full swing. You've got your dance, your in, you've had some mead, you're chewing down on some Welsh cakes. So then some losers have been playing on some okay-ish reed pipes, but they're all making way for the real deal, which is our musician with the fine reed pipes.
Just the fucking support acts before Billy Big Reed comes in. Yeah.
So Billy Big Reed, he gets up, gets his pursed lips to the reeds and starts blasting out a banger. I'm assuming it's Avicii or Daiguetta, something along those lines.
Dua Lipa, mate, surely.
Die Leaps, yeah, it's his Dua Lipa on
Die
the fucking
Leaps,
ones and twos. So Die Leaps, he's there blasting out. But instead of bangers, words come out of the reed saying, "My gan march ap merion clistrai ceffil," which in English is, "March up Melchion has horse's ears," and it keeps going on repeat. And the king is furious. He jumps to his feet with his sword. He's ready to chop off the geezer's own ears. And the piper pleads.
You didn't tell the fucking reeds, did you, you bastard?
Well, the piper pleads. He drops to his knees and he's shouting to the king, "Oh, merciful king, my lord, don't do it, my lord.
Please, I'll behave, my lord. But no, my king, I'll behave again. I'm sorry.
I'll never sing on this country again." He goes, the piper weeps. He goes, "Please, I didn't do it. Blow for yourself and see." So he did, and the king put his own pursed lips to it, and he blew, and the reeds once again mocked out, "My gan march ap merchion clistrai ceffil." So the piper explained to March that on his way to the feast he'd seen some fine reeds growing by a river, and he stopped to make a new pipe to play just for the king and for the guests. And poor old Ivan Beefan, he heard this, and Beefan stepped up and he was like, "Oh shit, That might have been me, lads, because I actually did
He's an
scream.
honourable man, isn't he? He doesn't mind owning up to it because he's a good boy.
He's a good boy, but he did say, "Oh shit." I actually did scream at somebody the other day.
Bitch.
Oh, bitch. Can you let me finish this sentence?
Sorry, go on.
Oh shit, that might have been me actually, boys, because I actually did scream at some reads the other day, and I did say all of that. And he goes on to yabber on about being so sick with worry, and he's been a little worrywart and all this, and he had to tell someone. So the king was like, "Right, you're for the chop, my son. You promised me you'd never say this to anyone." So March raised his sword, preparing to strike the barber's head off. But looking around the hall, all his guests suddenly burst into laughter and he dropped his sword. He suddenly felt this great relief that his secret was out and no longer needed to hide his horsey ways. I don't know why them laughing would make him think that. I'd be like, "Don't laugh at me!" But I think
was just thinking, if there's like a film, you could imagine the laughter would be like, "Stop it!" and he'd be like, "I'll kill you all." But maybe it's just the relief that maybe it ain't that big a deal. It's just a bit of a laugh.
Exactly.
Don't worry about it.
And I think like one ear might have flopped out from his crown. And they're like, "Oh, you've got bloody horses here, mate. Don't worry about it. We've all got things we're not proud of," and all that malarkey. So he was like, "Oh, what am I like?" And he forgave the piper and the barber, and he promised them no harm. So he took off his crown and he showed off his huge, hideous horse ears to all the guests. And they all went, "Freak, freak, kill him!" No.
I was hoping this would be a nice one. I'm assuming it is, and this is just a little tangent. You got a bit away. Oh my god, that's disgusting!
And they crucified him.
As a joke.
Yeah, they put his ears to wood and they crucified him, and they went, "Hang there, you fucking prick."
And they just start going, "Nay, nay," to him all fucking night.
"Should we let you down?" "Nay, nay."
Nay.
So instead of calling him a long-eared cunt like they should have done, they went, "Fair play, mate. You got horse's ears. Now let's see your horse's cock."
Think if his ears are all the women, all the maidens, if his ears are that big, think what's going on down there.
I just imagine all the men going, "Let's see your horse's cock." "I'm only joking, mate. I'm only joking with my king." So,
and then in the urinals, then like, at the fucking end of the party, all of them fucking have spying a look.
So it's a tale of acceptance, not hiding who you really are, and to not be worried about. It's about what's inside that counts. But the origin of the tale,
That's a good one.
although it's an old Welsh tale, there's been like other versions of it across the world. So, for example, there's similarities between the Irish folktale of King Mayon, and there's similar tales in India and Africa. And there's also a remembrance to the incident in the Greek myth where Apollo gives King Midas the ears of an ass or a donkey for not supporting him in a music competition. But they all slightly differ, where this one's more about, it's about the character of a man rather than what kind of ears he has.
Oh, mate, you read enough bloody mythologies from different bits, like different countries and cultures and stuff like that, you realise it's all, they all borrow the same stories like all the time. You know, it's like in the Bible with like the flood with Noah and stuff, that a million different fucking religions.
Well, in the
exactly
in the Quran and all those other ones, you know, they got they're burning bushes for all of them. I also read that many people think that lots of this story about the ears comes from Alexander the Great, who was said to wear a helmet with adorned horns on either side, and that then became a big talking point for lots of people's mythology.
Right.
So yeah, that's Malachat Mythicon.
That's a good one, man. Like, that's one of the ones, like, they say mythology are like stories that are meant to inform and teach lessons and things like that. That's the whole point of it. But a lot, well, this is my personal bit, but a lot I found that Celtic ones, there often seems to be no real point in them. They're just little, like, "Oh, why are you standing on a goat in a bath?" I don't fucking know, whatever.
It's the only way I can die.
That is a good one. That's one that I not heard, and also has a little moral of the stories. I really enjoyed that one.
It's got a barber called Beef and the Barber.
Beef and the Barber, like, I mean, what more do you want?
I'm dying for a piss, mate.
Right, so my go next, isn't it? This is my longie, so settle in, because it's a bit of a long one, and let's have a look at 1, 2, 3, 3.5 pages worth of notes.
That's not bad.
That's not too bad, and this is way cut down from the actual story, because the actual story takes a long time to go through, but I've cut it down as best I could. basically only got the highlights. So it should make narrative sense, and you get all the key bits of info, which I think is good. It's one of my favourite Welsh mythology stories. It's great. It's got a very to me anyway, like a very Fellowship of the Ring type vibe.
Oh.
And there's a group of lads with like sort of unique skills, and they set out to complete what is like an impossible task. Like I said, it's a very long story.
We'll get into
in its
it then.
complete version. I know I've cut many a corner here, and I'm probably butchering the retelling of it and like missing little details. But if you're into this sort of thing, you want to read the full version, I highly recommend a book called Celtic Myths and Legends by Peter Beresford Ellis. Got a
What's
ton of
that name
mythology
again?
stories from Peter Beresford Ellis.
Oh, nice.
I know, yeah, it sounds very
It's got a good
la-di-da,
ring
doesn't
to
it?
it. It's a nice name.
Yeah, it's a good name for an author, I thought. But yeah, if anyone is into this shit as much as I am, get that book because it's
So
very
is this a
good.
book
It's
you
got
had already?
mythology stories. Yeah, I've read it. It's got Welsh mythology, and it's got like Irish, Cornish, Scottish. It's got like fucking all the Celtic bits and bobs. Yeah. So big up my man Pete for that. Anyway, right, I'll get on to the actual story. So this is the story of Culhwch and Olwen, one of the oldest stories in Celtic myth. And yeah, I'll just get straight into it because it's a longie. Culhwch was a prince way back when. He was the son of a great king called Cilydd. Cilydd's wife, Goleiddydd, had died giving birth to Culhwch, leaving the king a widower. The pregnancy actually drove Goleiddydd a bit mad, and so when she felt like the baby was near, she gave birth to Culhwch in a pig pen, which is where he gets his name. It's Old Welsh for sort of like narrow things of pigs, or sow run. So he's called Culhwch. It's an absolute slam of a name. Imagine being called, what's your name?
Boy.
Sow run. Pig boy, pig heart boy.
Pig Heart Boy. He comes up so
Pig Heart.
often, you know. It's far too often. you mention
It's like
Pig Heart Boy.
7 Shades of Kevin Bacon with us, isn't it? 7 Shades of Pig Heart
No,
Boy.
it's
There's always
6 degrees of
something linking
separation,
it.
not 7 shades of Kevin Bacon.
Have you not heard that 7 Shades of Kevin Bacon?
It is 6 degrees of separation.
Oh, I think that's probably riffing off 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. It could be the other way around. I don't know.
It's not. It's definitely not 7 shades. I Google it now. 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Yeah. If you Google it, it's 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. And it's same thing, isn't it? Same thing.
No, you said 7 shades.
Oh, you know what I mean. Jesus Christ. I've had a couple of runs, alright, God. Anyway, that's alright. So, it wasn't long before King Cilydd basically fancied throwing his pipe up another woman. So, he took a new wife. I know, yeah, grim description. The new wife also had a daughter. And not long after the union was made official, the stepmother attempted to pair Culhwch with his new stepsister to ensure her bloodline would remain on the throne. Culhwch wasn't into like incest porn and shit, so was like quite offended at the idea, rejected the offer outright. So the stepmother was absolutely fuming at this. Mainly, I imagine, because she was so insignificant in the grand scheme of history that the legend doesn't even give her a name. So she was fuming about everything, put a curse on Culhwch that you'd only ever love one woman, the beautiful Olwen, daughter of the giant king Ysbyddaden Pencawr, knowing that Pencawr would never let his daughter marry, and dooming Culhwch to a loveless life. Culhwch, magically besotted by this woman he'd never even seen, decided to set out to find and marry Olwen. King Cilydd warns that he will never accomplish his task without the help of his cousin. Guess who his cousin is?
Should I know him?
Or just, who comes up a lot in these stories? Who's an old Celtic high hitter?
Arthur.
Arthur, baby, is his cousin. Yes, excellent guess. So King Arthur is his cousin. It reminds me of like, when they bring out a new TV series and they got to get the punters in, and they got to like put a cameo from like a big hitter from another series.
Yeah.
This is what this is basically. So his father advises him he's not going to get anywhere unless he asks his cousin King Arthur for a helping hand. So, Culhwch heads out. He finds his cousin at a castle in Cornwall, beseeches him for help. King Arthur, often referred to as the Dominic Toretto of his time, would never turn down family. So, agrees to not only help Culhwch. I am so happy with that. Mate, I've even, on my notes, I've written family like FAAHMLIE, family. Anyway, so he agrees to help his cousin Culhwch, but not only that, he enlists his finest knights to join on the adventure because he's such a fucking good guy. So, this bit, now I'm going to go through the knights that he enlists to help Culhwch with this quest. They're a veritable who's who of like Arthurian legends in here, but they all have their original Welsh names. So I'll give you the Welsh names. I'm going to give the listeners the English versions of them because they're probably more familiar with that, and then I'll let you know what their special skill is. So like it's kind of like those bits in films where it's like meet Buzzsaw. He's got a fucking buzz cut and he likes killing people with fucking saws. You know what I mean? So and he's a buzzkill. You know,
or it's
shit.
Like a Guy Ritchie movie where he goes, "This is Jimmy the Screw, and he's the best cricketer in all the land.
This is Jimmy the Nonce, best safe cracker in the business, but don't leave him with your niece if you get what I'm saying."
This is Richard the Prick, and he's a right prick.
And he's got a massive prick, yeah. So
he's got a big
this is what I'm going to go.
He's a big prick, 6'2", and he's hard as nails.
Get over it. He's the best driver in the fucking city. So yeah,
this is Merlin. Long old beard, dirty old mind, but fuck, he knows a spell.
Absolute cracker with a fucking wand, though. Is that what I'm saying? So, so yeah, I'm gonna go through these boys now. I don't know. Maybe I'll do like a fucking.
Can you put in a low background music of that kind of music you get from?
Well, I was thinking I do like the. I was thinking I was gonna do from the UFC. It goes na-na-na-na-na-na-na. So the first night we have Kai, aka Sir Kay in English. He is a foster brother of Arthur and one of the first knights of the Round Table. Now Kai is pretty overpowered actually because he has the ability to go 9 days and 9 nights without sleep or the need to breathe. Absolutely mental. But what, I don't know why that would come in handy, but anyway, he can grow as tall as the tallest tree in whatever forest he's currently standing in. Mental. He can also create heat from his hands, and he has an enchantment that means no wound dealt by his blade can ever be healed. So, big time. This is the heavy hitter of the group. Man. Yeah, I mean, imagine that. I can grow as tall as the tallest tree in whatever forest I'm in. That's pretty cool. I don't know. I love that there's a limit to it. There's a cap on it. You know. Yeah.
I also like that they do sound like I've never seen Avengers, but it just it feels like something like superheroes would be able to do. They've all got their own.
Why do you think I got such a fucking rock on for this? It's like,
you love this
Celtic mythology Avengers. Yeah. Also, you'll see 9 comes up a lot in Celtic mythology, and you'll see a couple more now. But so next we have Sir Bedwyr, aka Sir Bedivere. He's described as a one-handed warrior. And the most handsome man in the world, save for Arthur himself. You know, Arthur fucking doctored the books there, man. Most handsome man in the world, like insert apart from Arthur. Anyway, so he's not quite as impressive in terms of superpowers as Kai, but he has an enchanted lance, and the tip could come loose from the weapon, and it could fly upon the wind to strike an enemy 9 times. So every time he thrust an enemy, it could fly upon the wind and hit him another 9 times. Don't know why 9, but there we are.
I didn't realise the Arthurian posse with this kind of magical.
They're not in like the English versions, but in the old Celtic versions, they're all fucking hyped up. You know, you'll see like in a bit now. There's I'll say a few of them, and you realise they're way less powered than like these two. These I've started with the strongies, right? Okay. They get a little bit less impressive as we go. This next one is Gwalchmai, aka Sir Gawain, or Gawain, I think it's pronounced, I'm not sure. He's Arthur's nephew. You might know him as the Arthurian warrior who was the main character in the story The Green Knight. You seen that film?
No, but you told me about it.
Yes, really good film if you haven't seen it. Also a book as well. And it's, what's his name? Dev Patel plays the main guy in it. Gwalchmai, he doesn't have sort of superpowers as such like the last two, but he's got like he claims rather he has a charm on him that he can never return from an adventure without success.
Ooh.
But that kind of sounds like more of a like he's just been lucky and goes you know I'm sort of, he's got bias there, and maybe he's just been really lucky, I don't know. The next one is Gwrir Gwalstawd Ieithoedd. Absolute mouthful of a name. I couldn't find an English equivalent for this guy, but Gwrir, he is able to speak every language upon the earth, including those of the birds and animals. So maybe not as useful in a scrap, but you know, if you're on an adventure, that's probably pretty handy. The next one, Menw Mab Tair Gwaith, aka Menw, son of the three cries. This boy is a shape-shifting knight who can shapeshift into animals and was also a skilled magician. Also, it specifically mentions that he can put dogs to sleep with one look. And I thought that was fucking mental. Just going, of all the powers you got, yeah, if I look at a dog, they're fucking kippo, mate. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm the perfect dog sitter.
Oh, I thought you meant put him to sleep, like as in euthanized.
Oh no, not to dead. Just
so
have a
mean.
kip.
Yeah.
No, just to have a kip. You know, he's not even a monster, mate. But yeah, I thought that was such a specific fucking power to have. Like, that's only going to be applicable in very few situations. But yeah. And then, so the last then of the merry band is Cynfilig Gyfarwydd. Another one I couldn't find an English equivalent for. But Cynfilig was a knight who basically knew the paths of the world better than any man. And he'd end up being the group's guide through the dreaded savage lands, which they had to travel through to get to the land of the giants. So, with Culhwch, Arthur, and their super knights ready to go, they set off through the savage lands to the land of the giants to seek out Olwen and her father. Sounds a bit anticlimactic now, right? But the journey is actually over fairly quickly. Cynfilig leads them through the savage lands, while Menw uses his magic to make the group invisible to enemies and beasts. I'll skip ahead for the sake of time. You can read it up if you're interested, but they come across Olwen at one point, who leaves white flowers wherever she steps, and Culhwch confesses his love for her. Olwen is flattered by this, but explains that a prophecy long ago stated that her father, Ysbyddaden Pencawr, the Giant King, would die the day she was betrothed, meaning he would never let her wed, so he'd never give her permission to marry a man. Undeterred though, Culhwch and the gang follow Olwen back to Ysbyddaden's castle to face the Giant King directly. The group come face to face with the King of Giants, who was apparently so big he had to have several servants just to lift his own eyelids. So supposedly he had like what would you call it, like piercings in his eyelids, like rings, and then hooks attached to him, and you have like several men like lifting his eyelids. It sounds like a fucking chore to be alive at this point. I mean, would you just be like, end me, man? Can't even lift my own fucking eyelids.
Every moment of life is misery.
It's pain. Yeah, you'd be like, get married, let me die, Jesus. It's like meant to be this fantastical thing, isn't it?
This and the one you did earlier about Arthur with the 28 beards, they're both really visual. They're really, like lots of other Welsh mythology. They I can really picture them, and it's quite a cool image.
It definitely, inspires a lot of imagination, doesn't it? I think, anyway.
Well, do you know what I mean? Some of the other ones are a bit like stupid and not really. They don't make you conjure up much, but these ones are actually quite cool. Looking at the fucking goat in a bath, like that's just silly. But like,
that's like it doesn't serve a purpose.
No, that's it.
You could imagine
that's
this.
really it.
You could say this doesn't serve a purpose either, but imagine a giant so big that
exactly,
like you needed men to lift his eyelids.
Yeah, I think it
gives you a bit of
it gives a
bit of perspective, I suppose. So the Giant King's not happy to see this group of guys, and he orders them to be killed. But Culhwch, Arthur, and the rest of the knights beat back Ysbyddaden's forces, forcing him to yield. Ysbyddaden, beaten into compromise, agrees to allow Olwen to be wed, providing Culhwch and his knights can shave his beard and hair. In order to accomplish this, the Giant King gives the knights around 40 impossible tasks to complete that would give them the tools and materials needed to cut his invincible hairs. So, only a few of these tasks are written down in the original sort of manuscript. So, and I won't go through all of them. It's nowhere near 40, don't worry. But I'm going to blitz through the most significant ones now. And if the listeners are interested, they can read the proper story if they fancy. So, the first item they need to cut Ysbyddaden's hair is something sharp enough that could actually cut through it. This is a magical shaving kit that includes scissors, a comb, and razors, and it lies on the head of the boar king called Twrch Trwyth. I don't know why. I couldn't find an explanation to why Twrch Trwyth, the king of the boars, has a fucking shaving kit on the top of his bonds, right? I could not find that out. But
He's gone
just
back to being stupid.
Yeah, now it's gone. It's literally, when you were saying that, I was like, oh, just you fucking wait. Is it? So yeah, shaving kit. You know, you couldn't just say like, oh, you know, a blade that was so whatever. Anyway, so that's just accept that that's the setup, right? Unfortunately, the king of the boars, Twrch Trwyth, can only be killed by a magic sword owned by a giant named Wrnach. So first on the docket was to kill this giant and get his sword. This was very easy, according to the story. So Kai, one of the first knights I mentioned, he convinces Wrnach that his sword is a bit shit and it needs sharpening. So he says, give it here, I'll sharpen it for you. The stupid dumb fuck giant gives over his sword and Kai just chops his head off. Thanks very much, got the sword in the bag. Easy peasy. Next, they need the magical hunting hound, Drydoin. It's the only animal capable of catching Twrch Trwyth. But this magical mutt only answers to the greatest huntsman of all time, a man called Mabon ap Modron, who was imprisoned in a secret place. Kai and Gurhir, if you recall before, Gurhir is the one who could speak all the languages of the world, including animal languages. They seek out the oldest animals in Britain and eventually talk to a salmon that knows the location of the prison. Exactly, this is what gets fucking silly in it, yeah. Arthur and his men besiege the prison, free Mabon the hunter, and then boom, they've got the best hunter and the best hunting dog in the bag as well. So they got the sword, they got the hunting dog and the hunter. Brilliant. With the items they amass, they hunt the boar king, Twrch Trwyth. They chase Twrch Trwyth through across the sea to Ireland and back again to Wales. Very long, arduous sort of thing.
Benny Hill music.
Yeah, you can imagine the map, can't you? The animation like going across. It ends up though, they get chasing back to Wales and ends up in a battle upon the River Severn. A hard-fought battle ensues, and the men eventually drive the king of the boars into the depths of the river, and he drowns. They're free then to collect the, quite frankly, random shaving kit that is situated on his head. The last thing they need to do then is they have to kill a black witch and use her blood, and it softens the Ysbyddaden's hairs, right? There we are. So they got all that. Now that's the quick version. I've read the full version. It's fucking long. My God. Anyway, with all this done, they head back to the realm of the giants. Upon their return, having already been bested by the warriors before, Ysbyddaden has no choice but to allow his hair to be cut. Culhwch and Arthur decide to shave the giant's beard, his hair, and then the very skin from his skull, killing him. With the 40 impossible tasks complete and the giant king dead, Culhwch and Olwen would finally be married. Bish bash bosh. That's the story. I couldn't come up with a more sort of nicely worded ending there.
No, it's
done.
How in what context would this story have been told originally? Is it like campfire, like around fires for like people? Is it
I
played
guess so,
out?
yeah. And you know, like I said, like your one had like an actual message. Like, there's no message here. Like, I guess try
hard to
really
get shit
hard
done.
and guess you'll get stuff done. I don't know. Well, yeah, life is hard. I don't know. Yeah. There's actually, if you want to look at it, you might be interested in this, Franco. And sorry to the listeners, but it's in Welsh, so unless you speak the lingo, you know, you probably won't get much out of this. But there's actually an animated version of this story on YouTube.
I could see it really well told, like visually. I could easily watch this as a little tale.
To be fair, the YouTube animated thing I'm on about is it's not great. It's pretty awful. I quite enjoyed it because it's like, you know, you really see something so nichely Welsh.
What's it called?
On something like that. But like I said, it's just called I think it's called Culhwch and Olwen, It's by the author on the uploader on YouTube is called like Athro Cymraeg or something like that. If you Google it, you'll find it. It's an animated thing, but it is purely in Welsh. There's no subtitles or anything like that. So if you can't speak Welsh, you're probably a bit shit out of luck. Although you could just read the story and then sort of, I don't know, watch it along if you like.
Yeah, maybe we'll put the links in the podcast notes.
Yeah, exactly. It's only 25 minutes, and I quite enjoyed watching it, even though it's kind of dog shit. Like, it's made by S4C like years ago, so it's like the budget is low.
Let's stick it in the podcast notes, so when you click on it, when you listen to this now, you can click on it, and on the episode description, the notes will be there.
Give it some traffic. Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, so that was my long one. That's one of my favourites in thing. Like I said, the setup, I love the setup. And then, like you said, it does descend into a bit of silliness.
Well, I liked all of it, man.
What the fuck is going on?
I think it's those Arthurian ones are a bit odd, but I like that one. I think it was told well.
I think my favourite part is like the the sort of intro of like, I'm fighting out of the red corner, Sir Kay. He can make heat with his hands and grow as tall as a tree. Better watch out for him.
If we were any good at video editing, we can make a much cooler version of that.
Oh God, I'd love it. Yeah.
All right, let me move on to my last one, which I think you know about, and it's a very short one, but it's called Anglestord. Is that how you say it?
Anglestord. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that's the one.
So in Llangernyw, which is between Abergele and Llanrwst up in beautiful North Wales, there's a tale of how locals can learn their fate from a supernatural being under the boughs. I think it's called that. It's like the roots of a 3,000-year-old yew tree.
Oh right, yeah, that's it. Like the base of a it's actually still there, isn't it?
It is. Well, yeah. Hold your horses, young Cadgy. So each year on All Hallows Eve, which fits this spooky nature of myth and legend, and weirdly also on the 31st of July each year. So twice a year, Hallows Eve.
Just why not?
Yeah, 31st of July. The Anglestord is said to appear in the medieval church of Llangernyw in Conwy. On these dates, it grimly announces in Welsh the names of those of the parish members who will die shortly after. So cue a bunch of angry people in Wales going, it's discriminate against people who only speak English. Oh, it's monolinguists deserve a chance as well.
I love that. The thing is, names in Welsh don't change. Like, I meant to know. I meant to understand.
Yeah. There's also a story about how that's the idea. So every twice a year you'll hear names whispered by this being, this supernatural being that'll tell you who's died. There's also a story about how on one night on All Hallows Eve, I think it's easy just to say Halloween, but on Halloween there was a tailor.
I prefer All Hallows Eve.
All Hallows Eve. There's a tailor.
Or I'll tell you what, go back to the Celtic roots, mate. Call it Sam Hain.
Oh,
boom,
why?
bam, 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 bam. I think that's called Sam Hain, isn't it?
I have no idea.
So. SAMHA. Hang on, let me have a look now. Sam Hain.
Sam Hain just sounds like a bloke on the pub.
Sam Hain, he's always banging on about Halloween.
You know what Sam Hain's
Gaelic Festival. Oh, sorry. Sam Hain was the Gaelic Festival on the 1st of November, marking the end of the harvest season. So it'd be the day after Halloween. Yeah. Very good.
Got that. There's also a story. So there's a tailor called Sean Ap Robert who poo-pooed the capability of the Anglestord. And whilst drinking at the local pub, he called a load of old hogwash, codswallop and poppycock on this supernatural being.
You know what's really good on Halloween, I've heard, by all the films and stories I've read, is to slag off the spirits, like on the night of Halloween.
Yeah. Well, they were all around this pub going, oh, who do you think will call tonight? Do you think it'll be one of us? All this blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, please fucking give over. It ain't happening. It never has happened.
Did he say, can we get Wales back to fucking where it used to be, where we didn't believe in the fucking spirits anymore? Come on, make it fucking real again.
Well, he went, his mates were like, mate, come on, chill out. Come on, surely big bollocks. If you don't think it's real, how about we take a little walk, you go into the visit the church, and you'll see what happens. So they all go.
Mouth is, I like it.
So yeah, they go visit the church and they see what happens. And I think it's a prequel to the Candyman. Instead of saying Candyman 3 times in the mirror, you got to say Angulosaur or that thing 3 times. And
I can't do it 3 times, so that's what they said. Yeah.
So Shawnee Boy takes up the challenge and he waddles off to the church. And as he gets closer to the church, you can hear a deep voice muttering something again and again. And as he gets closer, it becomes clearer. And when he arrives at the door of the church, he hears a deep voice reciting, "Shawn up, Robert, Shawn up, Robert." And he absolutely bricks it. And apparently the tale goes, he shouts, "Hold, hold, I am not ready, I am not ready." But ready or not, he died later that year. So the church of Llangarnoe itself, the church is centuries old, but before the church was there, it stands on a sacred bit of land that is thought to be inhabited for around 1,000 years beforehand. So for over 1,500 years, this bit of land has always been used in this part of North Wales as a spiritual place. And the church contains the oldest living thing in Wales, that yew tree, which, like you said earlier, that tree still stands. It's a yew tree which botanists believe is over 3,000 years old, dating to the origin sometime between the prehistoric Bronze Age, between that age, so not between, in that age.
So just, it is that.
Yes, that. Yeah. So what I just said, but that.
Yeah.
Also in the churchyard there are 2 standing stones which would have been raised up by pagans around 2,000 years ago. So it's a very shorty.
It's a good story. That I remember me and Amy, we were going to go on. We planned it during COVID. Obviously, it got scuppered. Sorry, didn't plan it during COVID. Planned it before COVID. Got scuppered by COVID. We were going to do a little tour around Wales. Just going to see what's that lovely place? Sort of very Italian influence.
Portmeirion.
Fucking, I can't think of it now. Portmeirion. Yeah. We're going to Portmeirion. We're going to do all the sort of the sites around there. And I said I really want to go see this. Would you say what's that? I do know it. I just can't bloody remember.
Where it's from?
Llanrwst. What did you say?
Llanrwst?
No. Sorry, this place.
Llangarnoe.
With the Llangarnoe. That's it, Llangarnoe. And I was like, we got to go see that, because she was like, I was like, I really want to go see that tree. It's like the oldest thing in Wales or whatever. And she was like, "You go, I'll stay in the car. I won't go."
me and you will go. We'll go. We'll love it.
I know. I was going to say, let's do that. Absolutely. Because, the thing scuppered it and it's just never come up again. But I was, when you sent me the 3 ones you were going to do, I didn't realise that was what it was called. I'd forgotten the name of it.
Well, how did you know about it before then? Just from your love of old Welsh stuff?
Oh yeah, just old folklore and stuff like that. I
so
did
me
about
and
it
Emma,
before, and
me and Emma are going to do, because we're saving for the wedding and shit, and life's expensive. We're going to go for a trip around Wales, and we're going to go up to Eryri. We're going to go around Snowdon. Eryri. We're going to go up to Eryri. We're going to go around Eryri. We're going to do Conwy. We're going to go to Barmouth. She's from Manchester, so she's not.
You're going to go see Rita Gowr's gravesite.
I'm going to go shave my beard with Rita Hichlenhardy. Yeah, but we're going to do that. We're going to go around and have a little visit of some of those places.
Would Emma come to the creepy tree with you?
No, she's what we call a scaredy
too
cat.
scared. No,
yeah.
I was going to say, if she can't watch Last of Us or Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, she's not going to go.
Emma,
she's not going to deal with the devil himself.
She's quite a sweet, small thing, isn't she? I don't want to do
bless
that.
her.
It's dead scary. Because she's from Manchester. What for it? We're going dead slow. I like it when she says that. And sometimes she'll say tongue. Put your tongue away. Instead of tongue.
Because you've always got your fucking tongue out as well.
Put that tongue away, mister. Alright, that there was our revisit to Welsh mythology.
And you know what, baby? There's plenty to go back to. So if you guys like this episode, you like the last one, fucking
I was a big
let us
fan
know.
of yours.
We'll do part 3.
I enjoyed it,
mate.
mate.
I loved your you had a very good retelling, my friend. I liked that one I'd never heard of as well, because that had a message, that had a moral to teach the kids. I like that.
Well, and I think we should ask for people. I think lots of people who like this, especially people on Reddit who listen. I reckon we top into the Reddit crowd and ask them for some, because the Reddit people always seem to know lots of Welsh things. So do if you found us on Reddit, drop us a message on Twitter for Tales for Wales, the number 4, or on Instagram, or on the Reddit post, and let us know what you think we should do.
Yeah.
And anybody else.
We might do another Reddit post soon, maybe asking for ideas and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I don't
So
know,
get
because
involved.
but every time we do it, we get some fucking absolutely lovely responses, and we're all for that. So
yeah, so thank you very much, lads and ladies. I don't think there's much else. We're going to do another end of season 2 episode in not too long. But yeah, always send through your ideas. Keep listening, keep downloading, keep sharing it with your minds. Drop it a 5-star and follow us on all platforms if you please. All right, diolch everybody. Thank you as always. And
diolch guys. See you soon.
ta-ra.
Thanks for your moment. Blah 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 blah. See you later.